Hey guys, it's Zex here. We're coming at you with another video. So this week we're facing the Darkrai, the coach of the Dark Cave Darkrais. This dude is a legend, right? He's like, I think he's lost like 3 times in total in this league, which is insane. 2 time season champ. He's like pretty solid, pretty good, right? He's really good. So going into this week, I was kind of like terrified, like I usually am when I face him, right? And yeah, so his team consists of Tornadus T, Zeraora, Araquanid, Shaman, Bronzong, Licky Licky, Primate, Mega Garchomp, Togekiss, Garbodor, Lycanroc, and Tyranitar. So looking at this like at face value, right? Uh, like big threats that stand out to me are like Tornadus T, Zeraora, and Tyranitar. Right? These three kind of like stomp everything. Not everything, but they do work. Torn T, there's nothing on my team that answers it because my steel type is physically defensive and not specially. Right? Like everything gets hit by Flying Stab. It's annoying. Uh, Zeraora slaps everything, and my ground type is 4 times weak to ice, which it carries hidden power ice. You've got Tyranitar, which completely shuts down my Mega Lati, which is depressing. Let me just pull up the team that I had. Okay. You've got Tyranitar that shuts down my Mega Lati, and then you've got a bunch of other threats actually, like Araquanid that sets up webs, Shaman, Leech Seed spam, Mega Garchomp. That thing hits like a truck. You know, just those were like main threats that I could see, right? So going into this week, I was like, alright, my Mega Lati will basically do nothing against the Tyranitar. And I was kind of expecting Assault Vest. No, I was expecting Assault Vest pretty much. So I'm like, alright, we'll do a D-Dance set to catch the Tyranitar off guard, air quotes, because it's dark. He'll expect everything, I feel like. Not really, unless it's heat. Like, he expects standard sets, I guess. So, I ran D-Dance, EQ, Ice Beam, and Roost. So looking at that set, it got walled by Bronzong and Licky Licky, but we didn't mind that too much, right? We did max HP and defense, because where is it? That lived a banded pursuit, right? And anything else, it lived a crunch, right? The reason why I wanted it to live a banded pursuit was because he wouldn't hit crunch the first, like when he brought me in, because a banded pursuit will kill, I think, right? So we live an attack, D-dance on him, and then just EQ, right? Get the kill, ba-bam, ba-bam, right? Next thing we brought here was Clefable. I ended up putting away like 50 EVs into special defense. Uh, for the Shaman, which I kind of forgot to prep for. Like, no, I didn't forget to, but I realized I didn't have too many answers to it on this team. Well, I did, but like I just wanted a bit more just in case it was specs. We just ran Moonblast, Wish, Protect, Stealth Rock, kind of standard, right? Terrakion was my win con this week because all his whole team basically dies to CC, Close Combat, or Rock Slide, or Stone Edge, anyways, right? This thing put in work. It put in work just in general. This was my breaker, sweeper, whatever, right? Then you've got Suicune here, bulky water, can never go wrong. It walled Garchomp, not walled, but it did very good against Garchomp. It took hits like a beast, right? And I ran Sleep Talk and Rest so it wouldn't get chipped down too fast, right? Because I didn't have Heal Bell on Clefable, so I was like, alright, well, take it a little easier there. Uh, then for the Zero Aura, since we actually didn't have an answer at the moment, I was gonna bring Gligar, but then I realized knockoff into Hidden Power Ice just fucked it. So I'm like, alright, I'll just bring Serena, because this thing's like, it's actually pretty solid, right? I decided fully defensive. I think I moved a couple into special defense again, like 50 or something like that, just so I could live HP Ice or something better from like Shaman and stuff. So I ran Synthesis, Rapid Spin, U-Turn, and Power Whip. Pretty solid. Synthesis let it live longer. Rapid Spin because I didn't have any removal. U-Turn, Momentum, obviously, and then Power Whip just for damage. This thing hits like a truck, actually. 120 base attack. So, then for the final Mon, I brought Drapion just because he had Toxic Spikes and Garbodor, so I was like, alright, I don't want him setting that up freely, so we'll bring this thing. And it also shut down the Bronzong really well because it has Knockoff and Pursuit, right? Uh, Poison Jab was just there for stab and it hit Shaman and stuff, right? And yeah, that's pretty much the team. So, getting into the battle, when we first started, I was like, alright, he's either gonna lead Tornti or Zero Aura, right? So I'm like, okay, I could lead Suicune for the Torn lead because he won't do anything. I couldn't lead Clef, I knew that. Because if I led Clef, then I'd get fucked. The answer would have been Terrakion, but I didn't want to miss a Stone Edge if he, brought out his Torn, or like if he had a Rock Berry or something like that. And then, so basically our option was either like Suicune or Latios. I'm just like, alright, let me go safe with Suicune. Right, so I decided, okay, he's probably gonna bring out his Tornti. I'll bring out my Suicune. So he brings out his Zero Aura, which is the other lead I expected, but I didn't figure he'd bring it out. And he brings out his Zero Aura. So I have my Suicune out here. No way I'm staying in. So I'm like, alright, let me just bring out my answer to it. Serena, yeah. This thing takes a knockoff, reveals to us that he's leftover Life Orb. Right, knocks off our lefties, no biggie. And here I was debating whether I should go for a U-turn or a Synthesis. U-turn would have gotten me momentum when I think about it, but I wanted to keep Serena at full health because if it wasn't at full health, this Zero Aura would just fuck me over and over again. So I'm just like, alright, I'll get the Synthesis up, no biggie, right? So we're at full health now. He brings out his Tornadus, and I'm sitting here like, okay, I'll just bring out my Suicune. It does big damage. He ends up U-turning, which was, smart on his part, and he brings out his Shaman. So here I'm just like, okay, Clefable's an easy answer. I can just bring it in, see what he does, right? He reveals to me that he's probably defensive, just based off the Leech Seed, right? And I'm like, okay, free rocks, right? Because I now know that I just wall that thing. I can PP stall, Steed Flare, everything, right? And now he brings in his Garbodor. I'm like, okay, he will probably set up Toxic Spikes. I forgot it got spikes, not like regular spikes. So I figured, okay, I'll just bring out my Latios, and then if he sets up Toxic Spikes, I can always just go into my Drapion. So he brings out his Garbodor, sets up spikes, and I'm like, perfect, I can just D-dance because he's going to bring out his Tyranitar, right? So I Mega, do the dance, you know, and here I'm just like, okay, I can Earthquake. It doesn't kill. I think he had defense investment. The defense, the defense investment paid off here because I lived the crunch. He reveals he's not banded, so that's perfect, right? I just EQ, kill the Tyranitar. Here he brings in his Shaman, right? I'm like, okay, what'll it do to me? It's defensive, so I just roost up. He pops a Toxic. I'm like, okay, does this thing really have a purpose here anymore? Because like, what is it set up on, right? And I figure, okay, I can just sack this thing, get some decent damage onto the Shaman. So I just Ice Beam, does 44, he gets a Leech Seed up, right? And I just figure I'll click Ice Beam again, get a free switch into whatever, right? Kind of forgot that it gets Synthesis, so that kind of sucked. He gets like all of his health back. So then here I just decide, okay, I'll go into Drapion, get some free damage, or I think I Toxic Spiked here. No, I knock off. Yeah, I knock off. This reveals to me that he's Z, right? And I was gonna go into Suicune, but I misclicked and hit Poison Jab, right? So he manages to kill my Drapion, which kind of sucked. It turned out that he had taunt, so Suicune would have died either way, which sucked, but it happens. So here I decide, okay, I'll make the best out of it. We get a free swap into Terrakion. I can just Stone Edge, right? No, not Stone Edge. I can CC because nothing lives 2 CCs right now, right? He's gonna swap, obviously, so why not? So I hit close combat, right? Does a good chunk of damage. He is now forced to swap out, right? And he brings out his Garbodor, and this was actually a really smart Garbodor set because he had Helmet, which chipped down my Terrakion like a lot, which was annoying, right? And I figured, let me just bring out Suicune. He can Toxic me, no biggie. I have Rest, Sleep, Talk, right? And I'm like, okay, I can just Scald, chip this thing down, that's fine, right? Chip is everything because I just want to sweep with close combat. I didn't know what Garbodor ran, and apparently it gets Pain Split, so yeah. So I just decide, chip. Alright, I think I rest here, yeah, I rested, just because he could get the kill. He gets Scald up, so I'm like, okay, I'll just go into Serena now. This thing's low, no biggie, right, and I didn't want to get Pain Split. So I go into Serena, I'm like, okay, I'll just Rapid Spin, get the spikes out, because that's insane damage, 25%, right? I get the spin off. Now he's gonna get another layer of spikes up. I'm like, okay, let me U-turn out into my Terrakion. So I U-turn into my Terrakion, and I'm like, okay, he will probably sack this thing, but if he does swap, I kind of want to get the damage. So in my head, I figured close combat would be a good call, but I didn't realize this thing got Aftermath. So watch what happens. I hit CC. I take 25 from Aftermath, 16 from Rocky Helmet, which sucked, right? And I get the defense drop, and he brings out his Garchomp. I'm like, okay, I can live one layer of spikes, so Terrakion is safe. I didn't want to hit CC because if he doesn't Mega Evolve, then I die, right? So I just do that. So I just decide, okay, I can swap out into my Serena, just sack this thing. But he makes the proper play. He Megas, which was interesting because he could have just stayed unmega'd, because that way I could, if I did hit CC, then he'd take the, then I take the Iron Barb's damage, but that's no biggie, right? And he sets up Stealth Rocks. This damage kills my Terrakion, right? So Terrakion is basically dead weight at this point. I bring out Clef. I'm like, okay, I can go for the kill, I guess, right? The special defense that I put in kind of screwed me a little bit because he got a max damage roll, right? And that meant I didn't live too. If I had the defense, it would have been a bigger chance of me living, right, after a protect. So I swap into Suicune to keep the Clef alive, right? And I'm like, okay, let me just hit Sleep Talk. If I get lucky, I get lucky, right? So I hit Sleep Talk here, right? I get the roll, I get the Ice Beam, which is great. And now he's got his Torn, just there, you know? And this thing just cleans up. He reveals he has Sludge Bomb, so that sucked. My Terrakion just dies to hazards instantly. And then my Clef comes in, gets fucked, right? Well played off of Dark. There are a ton of mistakes that I made, right? Like sacking Drapion. I don't know how big that would have been, how big of a difference that would have made. And also hitting CC on the Garbodor, because if I didn't take the Rocky Helmet damage, then I would have been a little bit better off. Not too much, but definitely better off. Yeah, I think I played decent. My prep could have been a little bit better. Well played off of Darkrai as usual. GG's. And yeah, that's, yeah, bye.